Play the Manic Mark. Play the old-fashioned Manic Mark music. That's right, this is Manic Mark coming to you from the bunker system located underneath the Ardvilla, found somewhere in the jungles of the Midwest. The Midwest. And today's a happy day. We got the bad guy. And I'm not gonna. I've done this. I've taped this thing 3 times, trying to get through without any kind of political kind of crap. You know what I'm saying? Just to take the day and appreciate that. I think in the best way possible. With all the luck was on our side, this thing went down, and Obama ought to be kissing somebody's feet because it could have been really bad for him had anything gone wrong. You know what I'm saying? So you got. I don't, you know, there I'm going, I've got to go up. I'm not. So what I did was is I got out the 10-year-old painting, the 2001 America Kicks Ass painting, and I finished it today. It was like closure for this painting. And I figured out what was going on with the thing over the past 10 years. I didn't change any of this painting. It's exactly the same as what I painted it on 2001. September 12th, 2001, and except that I painted this white border on the outside today because of what I did on the inside. I don't need everything that was on the outside, and I wanted the white border because it's like a point of light today. Okay, so the inside is surrounded by the light color. At some point over the past 10 years, I decided I didn't like what was on the inside because I was always worried that it was too cartoony, although. You know what I do is like kind of crazy, wild, wacky, but you know, to make it serious as it needed to be, I was having trouble with that. So I took all that out and I put the white in here. And I put the eyeball with the yellow thing, you know, like the vision thing. So it was basically just a vacuum of America being vigilant, looking for, you know, Osama bin Laden and I left it that way. So when we shot the fucker in the head today or yesterday, or that I was able to come up with I was able to resolve this whole piece. And what I decided to do with the space was to create this book, this Manic Mark art book, cardboard art book, which I did today. And so how, you know, what was the thinking behind it? Well, the thinking was I couldn't. With all the history, I just couldn't go to. Would be so much, you know, and I just said, well, I need you to stick on what my vague memories are, okay, and just go from there, make it just a memory piece without doing any research, because it would just be it's just anyway. So I did that. I remember getting a call that day. And the person at the other end of the line said, "What are you doing?" "I'm having a cup of coffee." "Well, turn on the TV because America's under attack." And I did that. And so this is the painting that represents that moment. Then of course I watched the Twin Towers, you know, like we all did, being attacked, and the Pentagon. Watched that. Of course, being attacked, and the plane crashing into the ground. Of course, at the time we didn't know that the folks on the plane, you know, had actually had a hand in taking it down. And then later on that day, that there was no planes in the sky. I distinctly remember going out and sitting outside, and just there were no contrails and there were no planes. And generally, there's always a plane in the sky where I live. Okay, there wasn't any. So then the next day, of course, I was very angry. I was very angry all day long, and I was angry the next day, and that's when I did this painting. Here's a painting of me being angry, painting the painting. And then there are the 10 years, okay, while we looked for the devil, just the evil, egocentric devil. There's always another one. There's always, we never learn, I swear to God. Okay, cut all that, I'm starting to stray. And when I first started this piece, in the middle of working on it, and at the middle of the 10 years, I could never understand how, I could never get how I could represent all the people that were, lives were ruined. You know, either they were murdered or lives were ruined somehow by this guy and his minions. So now I just have Many Lives Destroyed panel here with the rhinestones, which just represents the little, you know, the people that were just, you know, destroyed by this guy. It's a sparkling, a lot of mixed emotions going on here, and it's very difficult to get through this. Then the last piece panel is, and the one thing about this whole thing that bothered me is that on the boat, the ship, the Carl Vinson, the aircraft carrier, somebody gave the directive that they had to give this guy some kind of proper burial. Yeah. Well, even the Germans threw Hitler into a pit and set fire to him. I mean, why do we have to give this guy any, we talk about there being a separation between Muslims and this guy, but apparently not, right? It may be, even though he was evil and a Muslim, that he deserved some kind of special treatment just because, and that's how they view it, right? Muslims can somehow differentiate themselves or separate themselves. That's probably the better word, from a Muslim that's evil and the non-evil Muslim. It's just all based on faith, and all people, whether they're evil or not, should deserve a proper burial. I mean, that part I really don't get. But historically, at the end of World War II, we didn't imprison the emperor, or hang him, and he probably should have been, considering the immense woe and misery that he was a part of bringing to the world during that time period. We didn't do that, I think, in an effort to try to, I don't know, be nice, I guess. So this is one of those efforts, to make it look like we're bigger than. I have no idea. Anyway, that part bothered me. I don't see why we need to afford him any. Anyway, going on. In the back, I say read History and Vote for Freedom, and that's also something I haven't put on a painting in a long time, and I used to do it often, in my hopes that people won't listen to me because I'm an idiot. Or if I'm not an idiot, I'm not really good at explaining, myself clearly. That's real obvious. So all I can tell you is that if you read history, lots of it, and just modern history, like World War II, the run-up, to World War II, Imperial Japan, the Third Reich, any time in history when things hit the fan, you find that it's always the same. And you can look at human nature and find out what motivates people to do what they do. And that doesn't change either. None of it changes. So if you can identify all that, you think, you know that less is more, and you would work really hard not to give people the mechanisms by which they can do this kind of stuff. And that's my only stupid fantasy is that more people than not will, and that's the whole point of this whole painting, I think. It's just a little bit of hope. And by the way, I redid my hope angel, my good luck angel, which is something I haven't put on a painting in a good long time either. I didn't really care for the one that was on the back of this from 10 years ago, so I redid it, modernized it, and I'm very happy with this now. I'm just going to hang it back up on the wall, and my hope is that, if we survive as a country, 10 or 20 years after I'm gone, and somebody has this, and they're going to look back and look at the history and look at this, and there'll be some kind of connection, and it'll mean something to somebody in the future. That's it. That's it. Turning it off.